My confidence for building the stuff is not the problem. What my problem is, relaying that confidence to the person I'm doing the pitch to. To some point in time, it's just like, oh, stop talking already. Like, I can do it. Just let me do it. Like, no more talking already. Here, I'll show up tomorrow and I'll show you what I got. To verbally describe this to you and kind of, feel like you have to butter people up sometimes, I kind of get annoyed with that a little bit. But I do understand that, yeah, you know what? You have to gain the confidence somehow. And you can't drag around your customers to the past 15 years of your experience. Say, hey, look, if I can do this, then you know what? What's your problem? Just let me get started here. I'll show you. Like, not a big deal.
Yeah. What's up, everyone? Welcome back to Onsite. This is episode 13, and today we have a special guest, Greg, one of the contractors inside of our community. Greg is set up in Vancouver somewhere, which we'll dive into. He's worked on a bunch of new construction. He's got a bunch of great projects on the go, and I'm super excited to dive into this. And I really appreciate everybody who's currently supporting this show, which is, it's growing. It's getting some really good traction. So we don't have any sponsors. We don't get paid for this. So at the end of the day, the only way we can grow this is if you share the show. So I need you to share the show with your friends, family, whoever. Just share it if you support it. If you believe in what we're talking about, just share it with somebody that could benefit from this. Greg, I'm super excited to dive into this today with you. Greg, tell us a little bit about who you are, where you're from, and the name of your company.
Well, my name is Greg. I'm from Abbotsford, which is about 45 minutes to an hour north of Vancouver. Smaller town, probably about 250, 300,000 people. And I born and bred into kind of general contracting. And it's been 23, 24 years. I was thinking about it there the other night, and spent kind of well-diversed. Started out in working for my dad there on the construction sites during the summer, and kind of just morphed into, tried a couple of small businesses on my own in my early 20s with a buddy. And, quickly realized that, the whole partnering with friends and that wasn't quite the best experience. And so I ended up going back to my dad's general contracting business, where I got stuck into some bigger roles. So a couple of, $15 million institutional renovations, baptism by fire in a 60-unit apartment block, where I oversaw that right from parquet to doing the final walkthroughs with the homeowners, to looking after a 68-unit townhouse site spread over 4 acres. And then had the opportunity to do a high-end residential home in Vancouver, and kind of sparked the interest to make the shift there from the commercial to the residential. Is a little bit more opportunity to stop being such a cookie cutter. And cookie cutter. I like working with the individual homeowners as well too. Meeting the different personalities, and it gives you the opportunity to experience different genres of housing too, right from more of a craftsman style to a more modern style, and all the new implements of what people are excited about in their homes, what means the most to them. And they kind of captured my attention, and just kind of morphed from there.
Well, that's awesome. Well, you're a very well decorated contractor from BC, and I'm super excited to have you here today. And I love how it's kind of been a journey with you, including your dad and your family and all that kind of stuff, which is wild, because a lot of the conversations that we have in here seem like they're very similar regularly. And the name of the show is called Onsite, because we're just talking about some of the things that we experience, some of the things that we learn, some of the things that are happening on site. And so I'm excited to dive into some of the experiences that you've built. So well-decorated contractor, done a lot of big commercial, done a lot of larger projects, also done some residential, lots of residential on the go right now. Probably when you're faced with like a bathroom renovation, probably feels like it's so small. It probably just feels so minute. All of the tasks are probably so tiny. Probably can be a little bit deflating at times as well when you're working on those smaller projects, just considering the things that you've done. But the things that you've done are with other people and their businesses, right? And so now the things that you're doing are you and your business. I find a lot of contractors that we work with inside of the community, like obviously you're in our community, but a lot of contractors that we work with inside of our community are really well versed in doing all the things, but the business side of it is just the next adventure or something that was never a part of that journey originally. And so it's cool. I didn't know that you were like, we've had a lot of conversations. I didn't realize how decorated you are with the work that you've done in the larger commercial sector. So you're in BC, one of the nicest places in Canada, outside of Banff, which is in Alberta, which we could fight between Alberta and BC, which one's better.
Agreed.
But, we don't get as much rain in Alberta, which I think is good for me. I don't I don't like rain. I'm like a sugar cube. I just melt in that shit. So
in all honesty, back in the early 2000s, I spent 2.5 years out in the oil patch working for Precision Drilling, doing a roughneck. And I tell you, there still are some days when, even though we were, doing a rig move and it was minus 30 out, man, the sun was out and you quickly forgot how cold it was until you couldn't feel the end of your fingers. But yeah, Alberta certainly was beautiful, especially the northern lights at night too. That was second to none. On a couple of the rig moves there, it felt like you were so close to it, you could almost reach out and grab it.
No way. So you worked for Precision. So I remember before I got into construction, I was super young. I was raised by a single mother. And so newspaper was big. That was how you did everything, was with the newspaper. And so I told my mom, I was like, yeah, I'm going to go get this job. I'm going to go work on the rigs. And I couldn't get a fucking job. I didn't know how to get a job, for one. And maybe that's why I'm an entrepreneur. So I didn't know how to get the job. So I remember Precision Drilling. So I was like, okay, I need all these classes. So I went and got the rig set. Basically, it's like the rig classes, got all those done. And then I had them all and I was like, cool, now I got to get a job. I was like, what do you do? And so I went in the newspaper and it was Precision Drilling, Rainbow Drilling. There's a few other ones as well.
Beaver Drilling was another one.
Yeah, I couldn't get a job. I couldn't get a freaking job. And I remember I was like, everyone's like, you got to work for Precision. I'm like, okay. Couldn't get the job. And then I went from there to be a carpenter at a potash mine. So it went from being a rig pig to working in plus 40 on the top floor of Rocanville. I think that's where we're working, Rocanville Potash Mine. And I had no idea. So maybe we can even talk about, your first early experiences. But for me, I had no idea like what I needed to do. It was my first day in an industrial construction site. And so you ask the guy, you're like, and we're traveling, right? You're 2.5 hours away or whatever it might be. So you're like, okay, prepare for the worst, but unsure what to prepare for. So I went, I haven't really shared this story yet, but I mean, this is about you, but I'm going to just lean into this because I think it's a great story and you can learn a little about me and my first journey. And it gets me emotional because it was so bad. I didn't know what kind of tools I needed. And we were building scaffolding at the time. And so my mom got me a tool belt, got it from a garage sale. No word of a lie. No word of a lie. I had a fiberglass hammer with curved claws.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
Yeah. And it was like, I don't know if it was a 20 ounce, might even been a 19 ounce hammer and a toy tool belt. And I didn't know if we were working inside or outside because I was preparing for the rigs. I had all the rig gear. Like I was ready to work outside.
Yeah.
So I had the big winter boots and I was like, oh, okay, I'm going to work in minus 40. I got everything. I'm ready to go. Right. And I was like, care. So I called the guy, remember, who I talked to, and he knows who he is. And we're friends, but he knows who he is. I said, hey, are we working inside or outside? Well, outside, but then also inside. I'm like, okay, so like more in or out? He's like, well, it's kind of in and out. I'm like, okay, mostly outside then. I'll be good. So I brought all my winter gear, nothing else. Nothing else. Prepared for winter. I thought I could just take off my coveralls and my coat and just, go from there. So we're actually working inside. We're hauling material from outside, minus 40, to inside to the top floor of this place, which was plus 40. And the elevator was broken. And we had to haul everything up. And that was my job because I was the new guy. For an entire week, 7 days, living on the road, I walked up and I didn't have regular steel toe boots, and I have like really big feet, so we're in a small town. I can't just go buy boots. Like, they just don't fit. And so I ended up hauling. This was my first job. I ended up hauling material up 12 stories, stairwell, plus 40 in winter boots. Like it was just horrific. And the worst part was that hammer. I was like, Kate, I got to break the banding. So I used this clawed hammer to break the banding. I broke the hammer. So that was my first experience as a contractor. And I mean, everybody has unique stories and unique memories, but I also didn't have a dad. I didn't have a father. I had a bunch of uncles and big brothers and people like that in my life. And they gave me a lot of directional insight on how to be prepared. But man, I don't know, just all fell apart. I'm thankful for that experience because it was 7 days of hell, the hardest 7 days of my entire life for sure. Probably lost 20 or 30 pounds, but everybody's first week is an experience for sure.
What triggered me to head out there was a good friend of mine that I went to high school with. He came back, or he had a connection out there some way or another. And anyway,
that's what I didn't have was a connection. I didn't have a connection. I was looking in the newspaper and I'm calling, hey, I'm going to be your best asset. Hire me.
My connection to him had no bearing on me getting a job with Precision. It was, I seen him come back one summer, or it's during spring breakup. He called me up. He's like, yeah, let's go out for dinner. And he showed up with this fancy new, that's when the GMC Sonoma High Riders first came out. So we pulled up for dinner. He pulls up in that. And I was like, yep. I like that. I want one of those. So anyways, a little bit of BSing. And at that time, I was still working for my dad, but we were doing leaky condos. The work was just monotonous. You were ripping stucco off the wall. You'd rip the moldy, rotten plywood off the wall. An engineer would come by, assess the damage, prescribe a fix for it, which is essentially just ripping some studs out, putting new studs in, doing a little bit of detailing, resheathing. And I mean, it was work, but it wasn't very invigorating.
How old were you at this point?
Oh, I was around 19.
Okay.
Yeah, 19, 20-ish. So one day I just said to my dad, I was like, hey, you know what? I'm going to go give this a shot. You'll never make it. Like, who wants to go and do that? And that was like, checkmate. Let's get this done. So within 2 weeks, I packed my roughneck suitcase, and a couple of buddies of mine that were actually in Edmonton already going to college there. So I bunked with them for a bit, went out to, was it Nikusp? No, Nisku, pardon me. I got myself an interview there. 4 days later, they put me through a little training session. And then it took about 2 weeks before they assigned me to a rig. And that's one thing you don't see anymore is hazing. The hazing that went on. We were working Grand Prairie. It was a 2-hour drive into Grand Prairie. Where exactly out in the Tules, I can't remember anymore. But so there was nowhere to run. There was nobody to cry to. It was, you take your lumps and you all go to camp together that night, and you just bite your tongue, and you show up the next morning and you give her again. And at the end of my first 2-week hitch, the Derek hand came up to me. He's like, yeah, I says, next shift, you better pick up your socks because, the guy's looking to get rid of you already. I was like, well, no one tells me what to do. I'm new. Like, what do you expect? So 2.5 years later, when I decided I was going to go back to construction full time, the rig manager's like, oh, it would really be exciting if you could stay. You're such, such a valuable member to the team. I was like, oh, you guys are a bunch of a-holes sometimes. I'm not sticking around here any longer than I have to. Yeah. But then again, too, 10 years later, every now and then it's kind of like, you know what? It was all right. Despite all the shenanigans, it was all right.
And my situation was very similar. We were on the road. I remember it. It was freaking hard. Like there was hazing for sure. Like I was working with like a veteran group of like the best of the best. They just go there. They live on the road. This is their life. They've been doing it for a decade already. They know the hotel manager. They know the restaurant. They have a whole system. I was almost at full fisticuffs with one of the guys who was a Golden Gloves boxer.
Oh, wow.
And he was just chirping me the whole time. He's like, come on, hurry up, quit complaining. And I'm just like, man, I'm fucking wearing winter boots. and it's plus 40. And I have to go all the way up there, nonstop, up and down, up. And every piece I was carrying. And I'm a big, strong kid. And, I'm just like, man, just fuck off for a minute, And so this progressed for whatever it was, 5 or 6 days. And the hazing's real. Like I remember they would put us in the box of the truck in the rain. It was just like, oh yeah, get out there, go. We'll drive around. We got to drive. Oh, we're going extra. Oh, we got to go. Oh, we got to go over the year. Just extra driving. But I remember we were in the bar because that's where we're a small town in the bar, and the guy's like, hey, you better pick it up tomorrow. Like no more complaining and all this other stuff. I'm like, I didn't know what I was looking at. I was like, what are we fucking building? For one, I've never seen anything like this. It's hot as hell in here. I don't know if anybody's worked in a potash mine, but as soon as you go in there, your sinuses are cleared because you're huffing in salt. And I was breathing it was wild. So the hazing, when you said the word hazing, I was like, I almost got in a fight with a Golden Gloves boxer over the fact that I was done with this shit. And the crazy part was I came back the next week and they all said, wow, I can't believe you actually returned. I was like, yeah, I returned. I got regular boots. I got regular clothes. I don't have a freaking winter suit on, and I'm ready to go. You guys aren't going to scare me away. So you went from working on Precision, then 2 years, you were their worst asset to their best asset, and then you were gone. And so then what was the first project that you landed on after the rigs?
Oh,
and was it with your dad?
You know what? That's a long time ago. I can't remember. I think how it worked was when I got right out of high school, I jumped in to do my apprenticeship. My dad had a project up north around Smithers Terrace area, doing an addition and some remodeling of an extended care facility. So I went up there and I spent the first year and a half working on my apprenticeship, and I just wanted to get out of town. It was a lot of fun, a small town mentality. When we came back, then I started kind of dabbling a little bit with my buddies for a bit. I started a vinyl siding company with a buddy whose dad was a developer, but he didn't pay so hot, and we were driving an hour and a half out of town to where the house was located. And I just hated vinyl siding. It was in the middle of winter. You couldn't cut the stuff properly. It was shattering. And after 2 houses, like, nope, I'm out. Then I had another buddy that
it doesn't even get cold in BC.
Well, up that neck of the woods there, it's usually about 10, 15 degrees colder than Abbotsford area. You're heading up towards the mountains there a little bit.
Okay, fair enough.
Then I went framing for a little bit, and that was a lot of fun. Working for my dad, it was because he's a general contractor. Generally what ended up happening is 95% of the jobs were all subcontracted out to major subtrades. And I mean, the average size of the project that I worked on with him was either like probably a 40 unit apartment block, or it was, 40, 50 unit townhouse site, kind of mismatched in between. Some commercial work. Then back in the early mid 2000s was a big push on Vancouver city infrastructure. So at one point in time, he had anywhere from 15 to 20 between school additions and leaky condos going on at the same time. So he had about 100 employees. So it kind of, it got big, and you kind of get lost in the mix a little bit. A lot of the older gentlemen, it was different mentality back then too. All were gunning there for the boss's kid. And, I was tired of kind of always getting the crap jobs. After a while, I was like, well, enough of this. So went framing with a buddy for a little bit. And that was a lot of fun, good experience there. And then me and another buddy, we kind of left him, and we started framing and foundations on our own. And that brings us to about 2008, when BC the market kind of tanked here a little bit. So the residential sector, my buddy and I had kind of teamed up with a custom house builder from Kamloops area. So that's about 3 hours north of Abbotsford here. And we got to work on some really cool projects. That kind of dried up a little bit. So from there, there's an opportunity came with my dad. He had a 60-unit apartment block starting up around the White Rock area. So really gorgeous area. So I was going to learn to be second in command on that project. And about 3 weeks starting that with the groundwork and the major excavation and that, the main site super pulled a midnight move, showed up to open up one morning, and the trailer was empty. There was nothing left. So called them up, and it's like, hey, what's going to happen? He's like, well, I don't have anybody. So you want to learn some stuff? I'm like, well, let's give this a shot. So yeah, we right from setting the barrels in the parquet slab floor to first layer of the suspended slab. It was all prefab building, so it was pretty cool. All the walls were all built somewhere else. Brought them on site. Had a crane set up in the middle of the project, just a self-erecting crane, and yeah. So got to see the whole infrastructure right from suspended slab up, and yeah. So that was kind of the start of my commercial experience.
That's wild. So where's your dad's company at right now?
Well, in about 2014, 2015, it was he started to slow down. A lot of his senior staff members were all at the retirement age. And I think after he'd been in the industry himself for about 35, 40 years by that point in time, and the flame was starting to dim, which I get, understandable. Construction's a hard go. either way you look
Yeah.
at it. Whether you're successful or not successful, the effort is the same either way. And so we kind of partnered up a little bit, and I had anticipated kind of carrying on with the business that way, but it just didn't seem to happen. So at some point in time, we had a conversation, and his passion just wasn't there anymore. And so I was like, well, I'll just venture on to do my old thing. And, I didn't have any of the infrastructure to keep a big project management company going. So around 2019, I kind of, essentially started from scratch. I mean, all those years too, being on site, I mean, it was a lot of hours, but you're not really making a name for yourself, right? You're kind of stuck in a corner somewhere doing what you're doing. Not that you don't make trade contacts and that, but multifamily in the commercial industry is different than the residential. So to a certain degree, started, or incorporated a name and essentially started from scratch again.
That's wild. What a journey. And so your dad's still around and everything. You guys are on good terms and whatnot?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. No, every now and then, we get together, and he's got a small commercial building up in Hope. And, every now and then we go up there, give him a hand with some stuff and that. So, yeah.
Cool.
No,
that's awesome. What a journey. So tell us a little bit about like the family dynamic, siblings, you're married, you got kids. Tell us a little bit more about your personal side.
Well, we've got... been married for...
You better get this.
I never get it. She knows it. we're good like that. She always bugs me about being able to hide my own Easter eggs, so we're good. We're 16 years married, and ironically enough, she's from Kamloops too. So after my venture there with my buddy Framing and Forming up there, kind of we went our separate ways there. I moved back, and within a year I met her, and that's after I'd moved back down to the Lower Mainland from Kamloops. A little bit of a farm girl, liked horses and all that, so it was a perfect match. And awesome. We have 3 kids, 13, 11, and 9. I've got 2 younger brothers, and ironically enough, my younger brother is big into finishing, and recently just fired up a cabinet shop there about 2 years ago. So it's been awesome between the two of them. Best product bar none. Installation and product. So as much as I can use those fellas on my own project, I love supporting them, and
awesome. You're 3 kids. So that'll keep you busy. Boy, girl, boy, what do you got there for?
I have boy, girl, boy, and not to take away from what we're doing here, but you want to talk about crossing something off your bucket list? My little girl, she's a spicy little number, and I ended up delivering her on my bedroom floor because we didn't make it there to the hospital. Yep. That was an experience and a half.
So you're a contractor, you can birth a kid, and you can build a multifamily.
Yep. Yeah. I dabble in a lot of areas. Please lose my number for the birthing thing. Did it once, can't say it's something I want to relive again.
Wow. Oh my goodness. Wow. Sorry. Yeah. I was just going through that in my mind for about 12 seconds, and I was like, that's an experience. That's a lot for a person to experience. That's what's cool about, people and this industry is like we were talking about on one of our calls, general contractors are problem solvers. That's what we do. Agreed. Whether or not we want to be a general contractor or not, if you're really good at solving problems, you probably could get by as a general contractor.
Agreed.
That's like the number one thing that you got to be able to do. I mean, I could probably birth a kid if I had to, but I wouldn't want to. So, I mean, props to you that you got that on your list. I don't have that one. So you got one thing on me.
Yeah. Well, what can I say? It's a little nugget I keep in my back pocket. And every time she gets a little too spicy, he's like, hey. This is coming up at your wedding, just so you know. So take it easy on your old dad.
That's amazing. Cool. Okay. Wow. What an experience. This is a great conversation. So tell us about some of the projects. So your company is North Built Construction, set up in Abbotsford, you said?
Yep. Yes, Abbotsford, BC. Yep.
Abbotsford, BC. And you've got a couple projects on the go. You finished up a custom home, was it last year?
Yep. Yeah, end of last year was actually one of my most involved builds to date. We took on a high performance build. It was super cool. 10,000 square foot house. It was all ICF right to the underside of the trusses. Part of the new practice.
You laid all those bricks, like you did all the ICF?
No, I had an experienced crew come in and give me a
Okay.
hand with that. I did jump in there for a number of days and work with them just to know how to do it. And it's the new wave of the future here, ultimately, for energy efficiency, which is what province of BC and many other provinces across Canada are starting to mandate for energy efficiency and air tightness. So involved with this house, was ICF right to the underside of the trusses. It was a little bit of a rural property, so we ended up drilling a well 650 feet. We only were able to gain, 5.5 gallons per minute. So with that came a whole water retention system, water filtration system.
Do you have geothermal then too, or do you
Yes.
just have that?
Yeah,
Oh,
we
you
did geothermal. So we ended up doing part of the house provisions is we did the infrastructure and did the foundation for a future coach house right away, just because of the extent of the infrastructure required. It only made sense to put the foundation in, so at least we can run all the water lines, run all the geothermal lines, properly tie in all the water management systems and whatnot. Massive septic field. I think altogether between the house and the coach house, there was 11 bedrooms and 6 bathrooms.
Wow.
A geothermal field was 220 feet long, 50 feet wide by 10 feet deep. It was just a massive pit.
Wow.
So we did all the looping in there, and took us, I think, 3 days to dig the hole. It took us 1 day to throw the piping down, test all the piping, run the open ends into the house there, and then took us, I think, a day and a half to backfill and compact and whatnot. So, yeah, it was.
That's quite the build. 10,000 square feet.
Yep. We also had to. I wasn't involved with this because the homeowner themselves works for one of the major hydro suppliers of the province there. But he brought in a 600 amp service to feed the whole infrastructure. What can I say?
Did you have solar then too?
No, we put in provisions for future solar, but at this point in time, with the overall cost, it's something something that'll happen in the future. Mm-hmm. But again, too, lots of mixed feelings in the Lower Mainland about solar panels. Long and short of it is, right now,
I guess you're getting lots of rain, so.
Yes, yeah, and I mean the winters too. We don't quite get half as much sun. A lot of cloudy days, so that's always an impact on the amount of energy gained by the solar panels and whatnot.
Right. Yeah.
But the end result of that house is we're building on a tiered system for energy efficiency. So there's step code 1 to 5. The province now is mandated, I believe, up to step code 3. So which means that you have to design your house and create an air tightness within the home. So what they do is at certain stages of the build, they'll bring in a special machine, hook it up to your door, and put negative pressure on your home. And you have to realize less than 2.5 air changes per hour to accommodate or to achieve step code 3. Step code 4 is 1.5 air changes an hour, and step code 5, I believe, is either 0.5 or 0.6.
This is on 10,000 square feet too. So 10, lots of area for penetration. Oh. You've got a wood truss system. Was that what it was? Truss correct. System.
Yep.
And then did you spray foam did you do spray foam or anything on the trusses or poly?
No, we just did the regular prescribed vapor barrier on the attic trusses. Lots of stress there with detailing all the penetrations. There was a boatload of wires for future speakers, media systems. They wanted the provisions for automatic shades for their windows, and then just the regular electrical and plumbing and HVAC. We had 2 HRV systems. We had 2 furnaces. We essentially isolated the upstairs and the downstairs because it was a walkout basement. Your heating requirements for the basement are going to be significantly different than upstairs, especially too with the amount of windows that was upstairs as well too.
Yeah, so lots of areas for penetration, like so many areas for failure and penetration. So on your first test, how was your first test?
First test was 1.1, and that was prior to drywall. And I had this being my first house that I tested. I was sitting on pins and needles because with talking with other GCs, they're like, well, Some guys are saying that you might lose a couple of points there once you get drywall after all the cabinets are in. Some guys say, oh, it typically gets a little bit better. And the fella there, Airtight Consulting, that had come through and did the test with me. We smoked the house out too, and that was kind of a little bit of a tattletale for a couple of areas. So before we drywalled, I went back and reviewed a couple of areas, and so we did another blower door test for final, and we ended up with 0.58.
Wow.
So if we would have used different windows for different glazing assembly and different doors for different door assembly, we would have almost qualified for passive house. So for my first kick at the can at it, I was super pumped with how everything turned out, and had a good group of guys there working with me to try and keep on top of all that stuff. So yeah, I was very excited about that.
It's a huge project. That's very, very challenging. And the unique thing about that is, like, I think a lot of people don't understand how, challenging that is. You've got a 10,000 square foot house with multiple, breaches to the concealed structure. Or to the envelope, yeah. You've got all these different penetrations, plus you have futures. So you have a bunch of future penetrations that aren't even being used. It's just like literally a wire coming out of a wall and raveled up. And so, I mean, that's amazing. And I think a lot of things, I'm glad you celebrated that. You're saying, that's pretty exciting. I think a lot of us, in this industry fail to really celebrate the micro wins. And that's a huge win. That's not a micro win, but there's probably several micro wins throughout the process to get you to a big win. But like, I think we struggle in this industry to really celebrate the wins that we experience along the way. Now, because you've done all this big stuff, it's natural for you, but now you have to market your business to be able to show yourself so that other people can understand, because it doesn't matter how good you are at anything. It doesn't matter your skills. None of that shit matters if you don't get opportunities, if you don't have the ability to actually do more of the same. And so, we've been working together for a couple months now, just running through some stuff, and you've got some breakthroughs and some wins throughout the process. So what are some things that you're most excited about now, just in the time that we've been able to work together, moving forward with your business? What are a couple things that you've noticed that you get to, kind of play with that may give you more opportunities to win?
Well, I think just the tools to help me promote myself. That last big house last year was kind of my was a huge breakthrough for me, but it was also one of my biggest downfalls. I spent all my time there ensuring that the end result was where I needed it to be, and achieve that, which I was successful in. But now I've come to the realization that as important as that is working on my business is just as important. Leads don't, with these type of builds and where I'm hoping to go in the future, don't just drop in your lap. There's as much work on site to be done as there is, trying to gain the leads to make these projects possible. And, since we've been working together, starting to implement processes to stay consistent and achieve these kind of builds is what I've been starting to implement. And trying to gain consistency this is going to be a huge win for me in that department as well.
I think too, like, even this conversation has given me a lot. I think we have a coaching call. When's our next coaching call?
Thursday,
today?
I believe.
Thursday. So yeah, so we've got, even this conversation has given me a little bit different perspective on how we can kind of position you in the marketplace a little bit differently, so you can get more of these bigger opportunities. Because, like, I didn't realize, and this is what happens. I mean, you don't get into all this shit unless you have a conversation like this. I didn't realize your back history, and what exists there. I think, like, really we are undervaluing a lot of that previous history and trying to get you to start to go to that spot, but you've already been there. So I think what we really need to do with you, is really shift the narrative a little bit and talk more about what you're capable of doing, what you've done. And even if we don't have pictures, because this is a problem. business people that are not in business. Okay. They don't capture an image of what they're doing so they can show other people. And so I'm going to challenge you. This is not a coaching call, but I'm going to challenge you
Yep.
before our next call. Go find like 20 to 50 pieces of content from all the shit you've done, these big projects, residential, commercial, whatever. Just find some photos that showcase the magnitude of what you've done, because I think that's the directional narrative that really we need to paint for you to kind of get you more of those bigger opportunities. You know, you're in a beautiful place in Canada. There's a lot of money there. There's a lot of big opportunities. And so it comes down to, you know, like you have to be relentless in this industry. I don't care what you do. You know, if you build decks, you cut grass, or you build 10,000 square foot houses, you just have to be relentless, and you have to understand that it's one more phone call. It's, you know, one more email. I know that Ed Millett talks about that a lot, but I really believe that it's the reps, the consistency, and the relentlessness to put yourself out there that really is what turns the needle. You know, we can't just expect that we deserve anything, because it just doesn't come that way, you know? And I think you're probably...
It's funny you say that, because halfway through that house is just like my confidence for doing this stuff is like, oh, I'm killing it. You know, the next one is just going to fall from the sky somewhere, and it's just going to carry on. And I think too, it's like we've discussed, like my confidence for building this stuff is not the problem. What my problem is, you know, relaying that confidence to the person I'm doing the pitch to. To some point in time, it's just like, oh, stop talking already. Like, just, I can do it. Just, you know, just let me do it. Like, no more talking already. Here, I'll show up tomorrow and I'll show you what I got. To verbally describe this to you and kind of, you know, feel like you have to butter people up sometimes. I kind of get annoyed with that a little bit, but I do understand that. Yeah, you know what? You have to gain the confidence somehow, and you can't drag around your customers to the past 15 years of your experience. Say, hey, look, if I can do this, then you know what? What's your problem? Just let me get started here. I'll show you. Like, not a big deal.
Yeah. You know, and the reality is, in this industry, we are always, every business owner is always in the business of getting customers. You know, it's not about saying, like, I know that the hope is like, oh, I built this. I know what's going on in my bubble. In my bubble, I can do X, Y, Z. Nobody else is in your bubble.
Yeah.
Except for like 2 or 3 people that are close to you, and you. And so the reality is, it's like, there is nobody else out there that, you know, that is like just waiting for you to come and build them a 10,000 square foot house, unless you market the 10,000, the capabilities that you have. You know, we have to really shift the narrative as contractors. And this is a message for everyone, not just you, Greg, but for everyone that is out there. If you do not tell people what you're doing, nobody will come, right? Nobody will come. And you have to, we're in the business of client acquisition in a roundabout way. Every opportunity that you do, whether it's a 10,000 square foot house, whether it's a bathroom, whether it's a main floor renovation, whether it's a multi-family building, you have to look at that opportunity with marketing eyes.
Agreed.
That's it. You just have to literally look at it like, okay, I'm building a 10,000 square foot house. How do I tell all the other 10,000 square foot house people that want 10,000 square foot houses that I'm capable of doing this right here, right? Because in our mind, in your mind is, how do I build it? How do I build this? What am I going to do? What are the intricacies that I have to have? And you need to almost disassociate yourself with the executional Greg, and remove yourself with, and put yourself in marketing Greg. And that's like, okay, here I am as marketing Greg. How do I market this opportunity? And that's what makes me nervous kind of right now as we even talk about this. If we start marketing heavily on the things that you're currently doing, like the smaller projects that you're currently doing, you'll get more of the same. And I think you're capable of bigger. And so we have to kind of reverse engineer yourself to go back in time, so that we can bring back in time to today and say, this is what we can do for you. You know what I mean? We can also do this stuff, but this is what we can do for you. And so that'll be really interesting. I don't know what that right now looks like, but you have to get at least 20 to 50 photos of what you've done. I don't care if you call your dad. Hey, I need photos. I need high quality photos of this stuff. Please and thank you.
Yeah, I don't think that's a problem. But yeah, excuse me. But yeah,
No.
going back to our journey here together, I'm super excited that working with you guys is with yourself and EBS has been good to know that I'm not the only guy out here that has their bad days, like all blue ceilings.
Yeah, all blue ceilings.
And good days, but just knowing that there's people to chat to and run things by, and yeah, it's a good feeling. It's a tight knit community, and it just shows that you don't have to necessarily be nuzzled in with the people directly within a 10-kilometer radius of yourself to have things in common with, and share strategies and ideas. And yeah, it's I'm looking forward to this because I know I've got a lot to offer. It's just a matter of getting the right help there to readjust and refocus and right the ship in the direction that I know is going to keep me excited and passionate about what I'm doing.
Well, you're really good at what you do. I've seen a lot of the photos of the work that you do. It's super high quality. We just got to get you in front of more of those great people. So I can't believe it's already been almost 45 minutes here, but I do have other meetings coming up. So we're gonna cut her here. But Greg, I really appreciate your time today. If anybody wants to work with Greg, wants to build that 10,000 square foot house in the Vancouver area, where can they find you, Greg? They can connect with you on Instagram.
Yep, north_built_construction or northbuiltconstruction.ca.
Awesome. Well, if you're looking to work with Greg and his incredible talents, you won't be disappointed. Obviously, he's getting better at marketing himself, but he has a resume that is well decorated and he can take care of you for sure. I really appreciate this conversation. It's taught me a lot about you, and we're going to shift the way we're going to market your business on our next coaching call. So I'm super excited about that. To everyone, again, we do not have any sponsors. We don't get paid for this shit. So if you enjoyed this conversation, please share the show. Okay. Share it on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, wherever you want. I don't care. Just share the show. I really appreciate you. Episode 13. That is a wrap. Thank you so much, Greg. I really appreciated our conversation.
I appreciate you guys and appreciate EBS, and yeah, looking to keep the content coming.
Awesome. Well, thank you, everyone. And that is all.